Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology, helping you to see the larger story of your life with horoscopes that emphasize the cycles of the moon and the slower moving planets. Today, you're watching the collective horoscope for the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra, which occurs on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 at 2:49 p.m. Eastern Time or 11:49 a.m. Pacific Time, depending on where you are. Now, what I think is going on here at this new moon solar eclipse in Libra is that we are realizing more and more and more about where we're stuck in life and what is preventing us from moving forward fast on things that we want to be doing, which I believe are certain relationships in our life and can also be tendencies like people pleasing, overthinking here, and hesitating. Not only are we realizing more and more and more about how those things specifically are tripping us up in our lives, but I think we also are feeling very frustrated about it and are realizing we need to take action to no longer tolerate those things here and have them bring us down and to put better boundaries and structures in place in order to move past that once and for all. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because we're going to hop into that right now. In order to get started, what I like to do first, of course, is place on the chart what it is that I'm referring to here in this video so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for that new moon solar eclipse in Libra. Because of that, I've adjusted the chart accordingly for that lunar event. I know that this chart is for that because I've got the sun and the moon here at the same degree of the same sign of Libra here, 9 degrees. And when the moon conjuncts the sun here like this, that is what is considered a new moon here, of course, in Libra. Not only do I know that this is a new moon, but because this is in very close proximity here to the nodal axis here, in this case, the south node, I know that it's an eclipse. Because the nodal axis is where an eclipse would occur if the sun and moon were both there, which they are. Not only do I know that this is an eclipse here, but I also know that it's total. It's a total eclipse or close to total because these things are very close together. The moon and the sun are just within a few degrees here of each other, which is going to make it total. If they were further away, it would be more partial here. So that's what's going on here. Now, what is this about here in general terms? Well, new moons are all about new beginnings, new energy, and fresh starts, or perhaps doing old things in new and different ways. Here, that's going on. And a solar eclipse is going to superpower that here and make that a very significant new beginning or new way of doing things here that's going on, which can have extreme, impact over now to the next 6 months, and I think even longer here can the impact of this last even after that. Okay, what is it that we are getting a very significant new beginning, new energy, or fresh start in? Libra matters because that's, of course, where these things are. What is Libra all about? Well, I think the thing that a lot of us know Libra is about the most is about relationships here that we have. And typically Libra is more one-on-one relationships here that usually involve some kind of contract here or some sort of commitment. So that can include maybe like a business partner, right? Sometimes you have to do contracts with that, a spouse or a marriage partner here, and can also include long-term partners as well. If you've been with someone here for a while, or maybe even a friend that you feel very committed or close to as well. I know friends are slightly more Aquarius, but if you feel like it's been a long-term, commitment here, that can also, with a friend, it can also, I think, fall into that category there as well. So could indicate something like that going on, okay, where there's a new beginning needed and a new approach needed to relationships and those relationships here in particular that's going on, okay. Not only is Libra about that, but it also too is about compromise and about fairness as well, being symbolized by the scales, which obviously usually goes hand in hand with relationships. So it's also about us getting a new approach to compromise or to fairness or to about how we handle situations that might require those things. Okay. In addition to that, Libra is an air sign. Air signs are more so in the mind about thinking things through. And of course, again, with Libra being symbolized by the scales, weighing out facts, weighing out information here that's going on. So this can also be as well, not only a new way of dealing with relationships, especially close committed partnerships that many times do involve some sort of contract here, and how you interact with them and compromise, but it can also indicate a new beginning in how you think about life here, or weigh out facts and information about your life and how you handle that and what you want to do next. Okay, not only that, but Libra as well is also a sign known for balance, again, being symbolized by the scales. And sometimes too, I'll also consider balance is a little bit slower in a lot of ways, because it's hard to find balance when you're doing a lot of things. Balance to me can indicate somewhat of a slower approach to life, especially as well with the Libra being Venus ruled. And Venus is also a little bit of a more reflective planet that doesn't necessarily go out and take action and do all this stuff. So I might also associate Libra as well with that, trying to find balance or taking things slowly, or kind of waiting until we do find balance here that's going on, that we're also trying to get some new approach to how we balance life, or new approach to, how slow we take things, or our pace. Maybe that's the word, our pace and rhythm. That's another word that just came to me. I believe that Libra too, because it's correlated to Venus. I think Libra also has a lot to do with music. It can be very musical. Musical can have to do with rhythm, melody. So I think there's also a new kind of rhythm or pace to life as well, that I think we're also trying to work out in some way here too, that's going on. Okay, and I think those are the main themes that really stand out to me for right now that's going on. I guess to repeat that here before I move on to other things, what's going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Libra, big picture, is that we're getting a very significant new beginning here with relationships, who we interact with and how we interact with relationships here, and how we compromise perhaps with them. Not only that, but we're also getting a significant new beginning here in our thought processes, how we think about life and weigh out facts and information here and make sense of some things in our life. And we're also getting a new beginning here in how we balance things, and in about the pace perhaps that maybe we go about life, or the natural rhythm and melody that it is that we have, and are trying to do that in perhaps very significantly, right, eclipse, different ways than we were before. Okay, now, before I give you more detail and more specifics about this eclipse itself and the specific aspects that it's making and that's happening around it, I do like to zoom out for a little bit and go backwards in time here for a bit before I move forward to other alignments here, in order to give you the context of how we got here, because I do believe that the context of the lunar events are so important, and is what makes each lunation really more different from the next one, right? Because there's a new moon in Libra every year, a new moon in all the signs every year. It's really the context that makes one different from the other. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to that. If you don't want to hear that, or feel like it's taken too long, whatever it is, doesn't matter to me. You can feel free to skip this section. Totally fine. I've got the description, the chapters in the description here, so that you can easily click those and skip backwards or forwards in the video. But I'm going to do it now. And I like to start here with an alignment that occurred the beginning of 2020. We're going to go back to that around January to April, roughly, of 2020. Around that time, we had a very rare and difficult astrological alignment occur. And that was when Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and the South Node all came conjunct towards the middle to end degrees here of the sign of Capricorn. Okay, this is a bit of a rare alignment, because Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct about every 35 years, roughly, here, and not always with Jupiter or the South Node involved, which makes it even more rare. Okay, not only is that significant about it, but also too, this is challenging because Saturn and Pluto do tend to be a bit more difficult to handle in a lot of ways, and also too because the South Node is there, which is hard, tends to indicate things that are holding us back, and also too because Jupiter was there in Capricorn, a sign it does not like to be in, and therefore doesn't really function that well. So was very difficult in a lot of ways. That was going on, kind of like a rare difficulty. What was that rare difficulty that was going on? Well, Saturn can really indicate things that we are stuck in here that may have persisted, right? 35 years prior to that, here that we don't like, or that are just no longer meant for us, that we've kind of outgrown. Here that can be very hard. Not only can that indicate that we're feeling stuck in, but Pluto was also involved, and Pluto's about change and transformation. And I think endings, really endings before the beginnings, come into the picture here. That can be very big as well, with Jupiter involved, a very big planet. So I think what happened in January to April of 2020 now, to bring that together, is that we started to realize that where our life is and has been for the past 30 years or so prior to this point, we either did not like here and felt stuck in it, or had simply just outgrown it. We liked it at one time, just isn't meant for us anymore. Here that's going on, and that we needed to make big sweeping changes in order to end those things so that we can move forward, which, if I can be honest, is difficult, right? It's difficult to end things here that have been a part of our lives for a while. And if I can be honest, I think that took us about like 2 years maybe, to really make these endings in various ways. It really wasn't until the next alignment that I want to mention, around April of 2022, that I think we started to get a little bit of a handle on it. And in April of 2022, we had a new moon solar eclipse somewhere around here in the sign of Taurus here that was going on. Okay, this to me was helpful because it was on the North Node, and the North Node to me is more helpful around our purpose and what we're meant to learn and move towards at this time. Okay, what was that helpful thing going on? New moon's about new beginnings. Solar eclipses superpower that. Here, Taurus is a lot about stability, security, and fertility and abundance, right? The ability to grow something abundant here after this point from a better place. So I think in April of 2022, we felt like, okay, I've ended enough things in the past 2 years, since 2020, that I didn't like, or that aren't working for me anymore in the way that I need, that now I feel like I'm in a bit of a better place. I'm in a bit of a better place from which to maybe grow and maybe try new things and develop a new experience of life here after this point. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened about 2 weeks right after that. So very closely after that, also somewhere around April of 2022. And at that time, we had a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign here of Taurus, which is going to be Scorpio. And now this was a bit more challenging to me of an alignment. It was a bit more challenging to me because it's on the South Node. The South Node does tend to be a bit more difficult here, because the South Node indicates things that are keeping us stuck here and holding us back really from moving forward. So this to me was a bit more difficult, especially with it being in eclipse here as well. What is the difficulty that was going on, or what was it that we're stuck in, right? That was no longer working for us anymore. Well, that's going to be Scorpio traits and tendencies, because that's the sign that the South Node and that eclipse was in. Hey, what is Scorpio traits when negative, right? And Scorpio is not always negative. It's important to know that here. There's a lot of good traits there. It's just Scorpio were traits at that time with the South Node there that were just not the best for our situation, right? And eventually the North Node's going to be there, but it was the South Node there at that time. Okay. What were those traits? Scorpio, if I'm going to interpret it in more of a challenging way, can sometimes be about making too much change, right? It's about change and transformation. And this can be us making too much change, kind of stuck in that, right? We've been making changes for 2 years prior to get out of this stuff. So it can indicate us kind of being stuck in that and mode, and not realizing that we're now kind of in a different and better place from which to grow. Not only that, but Scorpio too is a water sign. It can also have to do with emotions, and especially subconscious emotions that can sometimes be triggering. And it could also be us still kind of stuck in those, right? Reasonably so. I mean, we just ended a lot of things in the past 2 years that I think was kind of traumatic, a little hard for us to do. Of course, we're going to have some negative, emotions here that's going on. But I think it was us a little stuck in that, which is not conducive to building something new, right? When you build something new, you want to be hopeful so that you don't recreate the negative things from the past. So I think there was some of that going on. Not only that, but Scorpio too was also about, it's a money sign, can also be about debt, right? Either spending too much money or just being in debt from the things that have happened over the course of the past few years as well. So there could have been some money struggles for A lot of you as well. That could have also been a difficult two to work with. In addition to that, Scorpio 2 is a relationship sign. It does have to do with more deep relationships here. So this could also indicate as well that maybe some of us were stuck in relationships that were a little too intertwined here. That was going on a little bit, maybe more codependent or closer than they really kind of needed to be for our situation as well. That was also kind of holding us back. So it was us kind of stuck in those things here that were preventing us from moving forward in a new, better beginning, right? With more stability and more security and more groundedness here that was going on that we needed to get rid of, right? Get rid of those traits or change those traits here and do them differently. And if I can be honest with you, I really don't think it was till about a year later that we really started to figure that out and to get rid of these habits and move forward here. And it wasn't really until about April of the following year, April of 2023. Okay. April is just important in general. Maybe I'll say that because April is the astrological new year when the sun comes back to Aries, which is the beginning of the zodiac. So it typically does bring new themes to be worked out. And that was also an important time as well, because there was also the North Node in Aries, a solar eclipse in Aries as well around that time here too. Hey, that was going on. In addition to that going on, I believe also at that time, Pluto had just changed signs to enter Aquarius, and Saturn had just changed signs to leave Aquarius and enter Pisces as well, which is also very significant. Hey, what was the significant thing about all of that? Well, new moons are new beginnings. Solar eclipses superpower things. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, new beginnings. We also had two planets change signs to the first signs of their signs, also about new beginnings here. So I think in April of 2023, it was about us finally getting different, releasing the too intense relationships, some of the triggering emotions, this change and the debt, and getting a better handle on that here and becoming a little more stable and secure that was going on. Not only that, it was also about us trying again to move forward on a new and better experience of life that had arrived the year earlier with this better perspective to try one more time to move forward into a different experience of life without these old things that were bringing us down, which I thought was meant to be helpful. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, which happened maybe about a month or two after that, May or June of 2023. Okay, right around that time we had Venus go retrograde somewhere here in the sign of Leo. Let's say May of 2023. Okay, now this was a little bit of a difficult alignment here. This is a little bit of a difficult alignment because it's a planet here going retrograde, which is not its natural motion here, especially a personal planet, which are more closely felt in our perhaps everyday life here that's going on. What can this bring? Well, if we want to look at the symbolism of it, it's a planet close to us in our daily life going backwards here. So again, it's this feeling of us still not being able to move forward in the way that we might like and still being a little stuck here that's going on. Why were we still not able to move forward in this new and better experience of life, even though we had a different approach, where the money was better, where we were more calm about it, where we weren't so intertwined? Why were we stuck again for a second time when it comes to moving forward? Well, I think that was a Leo situation here. Us not doing that to the full extent we needed because that's where the retrograde was. Leo's a lot about happiness, joy. It's about fun. It's about pleasure here. And it, of course, is about our identity as well and asserting that. And I think we were stuck and unable to move forward because we weren't really having fun and allowing ourselves to have fun and to be passionate and to do what we love. And we're stuck in emergency mode, especially because Pluto retrograded back to the last degrees of Capricorn around that time. We were still stuck in emergency mode, still scared that something bad was going to happen from 2020 here. That was going on at that time that was holding us back, right? Because the new chapter of life is also supposed to be one that's fun, right? It's not a new and better chapter of life if we're still scared that something bad is going to happen any minute. Okay, so that was a problem there that was going on in May of 2023. Okay, that was kind of holding us back. Not only was that going on, but I think in the months after that, somewhere around July of last year, 2023, we had another significant alignment here. Pluto at the last degrees of Capricorn made a square to the nodal axis here, which was in Libra and Aries here. And that, I think, was also significant here with a planet at the last degree. They were all the last degrees of the sign, making an aspect to the nodal axis. And that can bring more big change. Pluto, big change here. And I think big change to honor more of our emotions here, with the opposite point of Pluto being in Cancer, Venus being retrograde around that spot, and to have more fun, right? To come out of emergency mode and to just do more things that we love and enjoy and that are just going to make us feel happier here and less stressed. That was going on. So we made some big changes there. They were a lot harder than that sounds. Scary ones to kind of upend some things here so that we could be happier here, but I think is what went on there. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment I'm going to mention, which is this year, somewhere around May of this year. Okay, and in May of 2024, we had Jupiter and Uranus come into a conjunction here in the sign of Taurus. This is a little bit of a rare alignment. It doesn't happen too terribly often. Here, I think Jupiter and Uranus come conjunct about every 12 or 13 years. That went on. And I thought it was very significant. What was the significant thing that was going on there? And I also thought it was meant to be helpful. I need to note, maybe I should say that, I thought it was meant to be helpful too, because it was in the same spot that the eclipse was there 2 years prior. That was going on. Okay, in 2022. And what I think that brought, Jupiter's a lot about new things, new beginnings. Here it's also about wisdom and understanding. Here, Taurus is about fertility, abundance, how we can grow our lives in a better way. It's also about stability, security, confidence here as well, self-reliance in a lot of ways. And Uranus can indicate something unexpectedly happening there. It can also be about our body as well with the Taurus influence. So I think what happened in May of 2024 of this year is that we started to feel suddenly and unexpectedly, I think, even more solid, even more on a little bit more on solid ground, and a little bit more able to move forward into a new and better experience of life with a little bit of luck in regards to money and our own confidence and maybe even our physical vitality that was going on. Okay, so that was, again, what is this? The third time we feel capable and able to move into a new, different, and better experience of life we'd been trying to get to since 2020. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention, which was a month later. It was a new moon in Gemini, somewhere around June of this year, 2024. Okay. What was that about? Well, new moons are all about new beginnings. Gemini is a lot about ideas and thoughts and things that we might want to pursue, especially now that we're continuing to move forward again for a third time into a different, better experience of life. So there was a lot of ideas that were starting to come up now of all the things we could do next here in our lives. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that happened a month later, somewhere around July of 2024. We had a new moon in Cancer. Okay, new moons are about new beginnings. Cancer is a lot about nurturing something and trying to get something to grow. Here, that's going on. Not only is Cancer about nurturing and trying to get it to grow, but I also think Cancer can be very shrewd about what's not working, what's not working towards the growth as well. So I think in July of this year, we then tried to move forward on some of these ideas that we want to do next in our life to really make them grow, but we realized that there was a problem moving forward on some of these exciting ideas that was going on. And I think part of the problem that we realized that was going on here was that we were kind of stuck back in the Libra stuff with the South Node being there, in waiting, hesitating, overthinking, people pleasing, or still in some relationships here that are not really the best for us at that time, and overcomplicating things, right? Which is making it hard for us to pick one of the many ideas we had and to move forward on them, because it's hard to pick an idea if you're still trying to think about them and weigh them out. And I don't know, they're all kind of balanced, and and you got other people in your ear telling you, we realized we had an issue here that we kind of needed to overcome that was going on. And that then leads me now to the next month, August of 2024, we had a new moon in in Leo. Leo's about, boldness or risk taking, things like that. So I think that new moon in Leo in August was about us really trying to work through some of these things, some of these issues with the people pleasing and the hesitating and the holding back, trying to stop doing that and to work through that and to kind of move forward in a different way that was more bold with the Leo here, and with the North Node in Aries more active. I think it was us trying to work through some of those issues here with that. Not only that, but I also do I think because Mercury went retrograde around that time in Virgo and Leo, us also trying to heal some things that were preventing us from moving forward and that were keeping us stuck in the people pleasing, and heal things like perfectionism, like being too critical of ourselves and others, like overworking here that was going on, and maybe even a fear of being seen and taking risks and putting ourselves out there that was going on. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment, which happened just a month ago now, right? September of 2024, we had a new moon in Virgo that was going on. New moons, new beginnings. Virgo is a lot about our daily life, our daily practice here in a lot of ways. So I think at that new moon in Virgo, especially at that eclipse we just had 2 weeks ago in Pisces, it was about us starting to get a different daily routine here with some of these ideas, right? Back with some of these ideas that we were thinking about in June, and where we start to put some of those ideas that we were thinking about in June into action here, but into action in a different way that is easier, that is quicker, with less fear, with less perfectionism, with less overworking here that's going on, and to really go with the flow, get a better flow. That's what we talked about 2 weeks ago here in order to make that happen. And I think we did, but even though we got a good flow going, I think that that flow here that we had alerted us to some more issues, especially now at this eclipse, which is what this video is for, in Libra on the South Node. We got alerted now to some more issues here about the relationships, about the people pleasing, about the hesitating, about the overthinking, and how we still have not fully kicked those to the curb in the way that it is that we need. We're getting more awareness around those and how those are tripping us up here that's going on, that we're trying to do in a new way, a different way that's going to be better for our situation, so that we don't keep falling backwards and can continue on this positive trajectory with more flow and more movement towards the things that are going to be better for us. Okay, and that's it. That's what I think is going on here. Okay, maybe just to repeat that, what I think is going on, or the context. The context here is that we've been trying to get into a new, different, and better experience of life for quite some time, especially since 2020, after ending a lot of things that weren't working for us. But it's been really hard to do. It's been one thing after the other. The first thing that was in 2022 is that we were still stuck in negative emotions, changes, money issues, maybe even issues with relationships here that we needed to overcome. We worked through those. Then the next issue in 2023 is that we were still stuck in emergency mode and stressed and weren't really following our heart and our passion and letting that to shine here. And then the next issue, which has occurred this year here, is that we are stuck in hesitating, overthinking, people pleasing, here that's going on, also preventing us from moving forward. So it's been one thing after the other here, and not only has been one thing after the other, but we've conquered thus far the first two issues, and this eclipse is about us tackling and conquering the third. It's about us tackling and conquering that third issue, so that we're no longer stuck in the hesitating, the waiting, the people pleasing, and all of that, and can move forward into this new experience more completely here without constantly having these issues making us feel stuck. Okay, and that's it. Okay, because that's it, I'm now going to zoom in more closely here at this eclipse, so that you can get more detail around what's happening here. So let's do that. I'm just going to place it back on the chart here again for those of you who are with me with the context. So here's the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. Okay, that new moon, as I stated, is about us trying to get a new way of working with relationships, compromising with relationships, also a new way of thinking about our lives and what we do, balancing our lives, and the pace of our lives here as well that's going on, okay? What else do I want to look at? The next thing that I want to look at in regards to the specifics about this eclipse is, of course, going to be the South Node part of it, because, of course, that's what makes this new moon an eclipse. And also, too, because the South Node is very particular about things, and to me can indicate something very specific here as well, especially as opposed to the North Node. What is the specific thing that the South Node indicates? Well, for those of you who've been following me for a bit, you know that I think the South Node has a lot to do with habits, traits, and tendencies here that we've been doing for a long time, but that are no longer working anymore or are no longer meant for us right now, here at this time, and that are hard to get rid of because we've been doing them for so long and can make us feel stuck and be holding us back here at this time. Okay, that's going on. Not only is the South Node about that, things we've been doing for a long time that are no longer good for us right now here, that are hard to let go of because we're so comfortable to them. But I need to note it also indicates a need to release those things, a need to release those things that we're comfortable and that we've been doing for a while, and to let them go here, or change those here in some sort of way. That's going on. What are these habits and things that we may be stuck in that are not working for us anymore that we need to let go of? Well, these are going to be Libra habits, right? Not because Libra is a bad sign, okay? Just because the South Node is there, that's going on. And the North Node will be there soon, another 9 years. So this isn't because Libra is a bad sign. It's just because the South Node is there now. What is Libra about? Well, Libra is about those things we talked about at the beginning of this video: relationships, compromise, thinking, weighing out things, balance, the rhythm of our lives. It's about us really having to release that, to let go of that, or certain ways of doing those things that are keeping us stuck here. That's going on. So to give this more specifics, right? For some of you, this is a need to, some of you have had relationships that have been with you for a while that are just no longer meant for you anymore and where you're going, and there's a need to end and release those, right? That's a thing that could go on here. If it's not needing to literally end and make a final break with that relationship, then it could indicate a need to fundamentally change a relationship here. Not working the way it's been, a need to fundamentally shift that relationship once and for all to be something very different here. Okay, not only that, but Libra as well, as I said, is about the compromise when it comes to these relationships. And the South Node there, right, is about things we need to let go of. It's about letting go of compromising, right? If there's someone in your life and you've been trying to compromise with them for years and years and years, and the compromise hasn't been working, it's time to stop compromising, right? Because more compromising when the compromise hasn't been working here is silly. It's silly to keep doing something that hasn't been working here. So I think there's also a need as well of time to let go of trying to compromise here, especially compromise that hasn't been working, and especially too much compromise. Maybe that's another thought here as well, because sometimes the South Node can indicate overdoing something, especially needing to let go of too much compromise, where you're compromising away all of your values, all of the things that are important to you, all of the things that your heart wants. You got to stop compromising those things that are truly important to you away. And you have to stop doing that, right? To let go of that here. That's happening. Okay? Not only that, but again, Libra is the air sign about thinking here and weighing things out. And I think there's also a need as well to let go of that, let go of the thinking, let go of the weighing things out, or do that in a fundamentally different way here as well. Because there can be too much of that. Sometimes the South Node can indicate too much. So, and when you're thinking too much and weighing out too much of the facts, guess what you're not doing? Actually acting on your ideas, acting on what needs to be happening here as well. So it can be about letting go of this tendency to overthink, or to constantly feel like you need more information, more facts that you need to weigh out to get a different and better perspective. You don't. And there comes a point when that's just going to hold you back. Okay? Not only that, but Libra is also about balance here, or waiting till things feel balanced, or taking it slowly. And with the South Node there, it's also saying you have to stop doing that, stop waiting for things to happen, stop waiting for the time to feel right, stop waiting for everything to feel balanced. Here that's going on, because if you just keep waiting and waiting, nothing's going to happen, right? Like nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get where you need to go. So I think there's that. Not only is the nodal axis about that and the south node about letting things go, but it's about letting things go in favor of the north node, right? The north node is about where we need to move our attention more towards at this time in order to move forward, in order to weirdly bring things back into balance here. So it's not just about letting go of some relationships or a way of doing relationships in which you're compromising maybe too much of yourself away, which I might and have in previous videos interpreted as people pleasing. It's not just about letting go of overthinking, hesitating, waiting till everything's perfect until you have more information. It's also about embracing more fully different habits and different behaviors and a different way of life as well. Here that's going on. And in this case, it's going to be the Aries, where the North Node is. Aries is not about relationships, right? It's the opposite of the relationship sign Libra. Aries is independent. It's about me, myself, and I, and what we want. Here, that's going on. So that's one of the things that's going on. We're trying to embrace more, right? Letting go of relationships that aren't working for us, that where we have to compromise too much of ourselves away, and focusing more on ourselves as individuals, what we want, what's important to us here. Okay, not only that, but Aries is about our own self-interest, and not let's be fair, it's about our own self-interest and really about advocating for that and sometimes fighting for that, right? Aries can be a little aggressive too. So not only here are we letting go of certain relationships that aren't in our lives and the compromise, but we're stepping into more independence here without the relationships here, or where our relationships give us a lot more freedom to do our own thing here, and where we don't compromise, where we just do what we want to do, what's in our own self-interest here, and connect with different types of people who accept that. Okay. That's going on. Another thing too is that Aries is a lot about action. It's an action. It's not about thinking things through. It's about taking action. And I think Aries can be very imperfect, right? Virgo's the sign of perfection. Aries quincunxes that. So Aries takes action, but in very imperfect ways. So I think another thing that we're learning to do is to stop with the relationships and the compromising away too much of your needs and values, and to start honoring yourself and your own interests and doing what you need, and to stop being afraid of being alone. Here that's going on. But it's also about you taking action, even if it's imperfect, here on yourself, on the things that you're interested in. Hey, that's going on. And on the things you're passionate about. Maybe that's another thought. Aries is a fire sign. It's passionate here, and has things that it enjoys, that it wants to do here as well. So it's also about taking action, and taking action on things you love, that excite you, that light you up, that light a flame, underneath you here, to move forward on that, and to not let other people talk you out of that or tell you otherwise, or your mind talk you out of it here. In addition to that, Aries is a lot about instinct, right? It's not about the mind, because it's opposite Libra. It's about your instinct. It's about your gut. It's about trusting that gut feeling here about what needs to happen here as well, or trusting the wisdom in your body. I think sometimes Aries can be very physical in a lot of ways here as well. So I think there's also that we're trying to do here at this time. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the first thing that I'll say here about this solar eclipse in Libra. We're trying to do relationships, compromise, thinking, balance, and the rhythm in our lives in a very different way than we have before. And we're trying to do those things in a very different way here, in which we stop engaging with people who do not have our best interest in mind, in which we stop compromising too much here our needs and our values and the things that are important to us away, and in which we stop hesitating and waiting till everything's perfect and we feel right and holding back. And not only are we trying to change those things, but to also move towards different behaviors in which we focus more on ourselves, are less afraid of being alone here, are more independent here, in which we take more action, follow our instinct, and do what we love, what's fun, what makes us happy here, and what lights us up and makes us feel more passionate. Okay, that's going on. Okay, not only that, but I also want to note too about this eclipse. Here, Mercury is very closely conjunct, of course, the sun and the moon and the south node. Here's my eraser, right? So I also think that that's an important thing to really note and talk about here as well. What is that? Well, Mercury, for one, can have to do with our own mind and our own thoughts. And I think can bring awareness in our mind, especially with eclipses, kind of superpowering things, especially to the sign of Libra. I think Libra can bring insight here and awareness and realizations at times as well here that's going on. So not only are some of these other things that I talked about happening, right? We're stuck in these habits, relationships, hesitating, waiting, holding back. We need to shift those. But this is increased awareness at this eclipse, more so than I think we've had this past year about what exactly, right? And exactly, that struck me as interesting because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo naturally. What exactly this means in our situation, what exactly it means for our relationships, and where exactly this is showing up in terms of the overthinking and the people pleasing and the hesitating, the holding back. It's us getting awareness here about how much these things have been impacting us, are still impacting us here, that I think is going on as well, and maybe even some clarity about those things. Okay, not only that, but I think this too can also be bringing, more thinking here, maybe about how to not do that, how to fix this, and how to more fully make this shift here with Mercury also being of the mind. Not only that, but Mercury too is about communication. So not just about the mind, about communicating. This can also be us too, not only realizing how these habits are showing up that we need to let go of, over-compromise, people-pleasing, or hesitating, and all of that, and trying to figure out how to get rid of it. But it could also be us talking about it with other people in our lives about these things that we feel stuck in. This could be talking to an unbiased third party. Hey, this is what's going on in my life, with someone we trust. Or it could be talking to the people and things directly involved in the situation. Like, you're in a relationship. The relationship isn't working for you. It could be you literally trying to talk to that relationship and say, hey, I feel like this relationship isn't working, or it's not working in the way it currently is, and we either need to end it or change it. Or I feel like we've been trying to compromise and you haven't been compromising in a way that needs, right? Like it just hasn't been working. It can also be some sort of conversation about that. How can we fix it? Can we fix it? Can we not? I don't know. Becoming increasingly dissatisfied here. It can be a lot of conversations here with that, or just again, conversations about overthinking. I feel like I keep falling, to your third party person. I feel like I keep falling back into overthinking. I feel like I keep having this issue with hesitating or waiting till everything's perfect. It can be a lot of conversations there that's going on to really try to work through that now with more clarity. And I even want to say here too, maybe another thought, with more wisdom as well. Not because Mercury particularly is wise, so to speak, but remember the eclipse we had 2 weeks ago was in Pisces. Now, Pisces to me is a sign of wisdom here. And remember 2 weeks ago, I talked about that eclipse in Pisces. It was about us going more with the Aries traits, right? The acting, the instinct, the impulse, the independence, the doing things, right? Well, doing things, right, can give you wisdom here about what you do need to do and what you don't need to do, and can trigger more unresolved stuff to come up. So not only is this more clear understanding of where the people pleasing, the over compromise, the overthinking, the hesitating is playing out, and you doing a lot of thinking and talking about that and how you can resolve it, but it's also you having more wisdom here about what the best way is to go about things here, and where you keep falling back here that's going on to help better inform some of these things that's going on. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is that Mercury here and this eclipse is making a square over to Mars in the sign of Cancer as well. Okay, now this is a difficult alignment here. This is difficult because excuse me, it's a square. A square is a hard aspect here, and it's connecting with Mars, which can be a bit aggressive here. Not only is it difficult in that regard, but it's also a little difficult too because Mars is in Cancer here, a sign it does not really like to be in as well. That can make it hard, especially with this being an eclipse, and eclipses can just, bring things to the surface that are uncomfortable. So this can be a bit of a challenge here. What is the challenge that's going on? Well, I think the Cancer here The Cancer is a lot about our emotions here, that's going on, maybe more deeply and privately felt. And so I think for one interpretation of this is us getting even more frustrated emotionally, because Mars will trigger us and push our buttons, and Cancer our emotions, us getting more frustrated and triggered emotionally that we keep falling back into these old things here. So it's not just the awareness of like, oh, I keep falling back into people pleasing and these relationships that aren't working and all of that, and I really got to figure out how to overcome that. It's not just thinking about it. It's us kind of mad about it. Maybe I need to use the word mad, because Mars can skew that way. Is us kind of mad about it? Like, I want to move forward. I've been trying to move forward for 3 years. If you listen to my context, there keeps being all these issues that keep coming up. There keeps being this person that brings me back, this hesitating, overthinking. There's a lot of mad feelings and mad thoughts here that it is that we're having about why we keep falling back into these old things, because we're tired of it and we don't want to do it anymore. Here that's going on. So it can bring us being mad at ourselves, mad internally about things. This can also to bring a lot of anger, because Mars can do that, at other people here as well. That can go on, especially if you're trying to communicate with someone about a relationship that you want to end, or that isn't working for you, or that needs to change, right? They may not like that. That may be very uncomfortable. So this can also create some kind of arguments or disagreements here as well about that. Not only that, but I also want to note too that this could actually come out to be more passive aggression as well, because it's in Cancer. Okay, Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer, and Cancer is symbolized by the crab, right? And the crab moves sideways. Here it doesn't face things head on. So this can also, right, and the Libra too is going to try to be nice. So this can also create as well some sort of passive aggression to that's going on, or talking around, still some kind of talking around here, the what really needs to happen, that there does need to be an ending, or there does need to be a significant change here with these things to move forward. It can create some of that here that's going on. Okay, in addition to that, maybe another thought here too, Cancer is a lot about our foundation in life here, right? It has to do with home and family. It has to do with being on solid ground here. And if I can be honest with you, I don't think we've had solid ground in our life since 2020. I think a lot of us, we still feel in the air. Everything's up in the air. Don't really know where it's going to go, right? Especially with the South Node in Libra, in the air. Everything's in the air. Still feels up in the air. We don't really know which way things are going to go. I don't think we've had that for a long time, but I think us ending these things with relationships, ending these overthinking, ending these things with hesitating is going to make us feel even more unstable, even more up in the air, without a leg to stand on, without a firm foundation or solid ground as well here, that I think is also hard for us, maybe contributing to the passive aggressive, right? I don't want to fully end this relationship because then I'm going to be alone and it's going to be scary and I've never been alone. And then my whole world's going to get turned upside down and it's going to feel emotionally empty, maybe with the some of that. So there can be some of that that's going on, or I don't want to stop the overthinking because then I'm just going to do stuff and then everything's going to be messy and it's going to be up in the air and I won't have any grounding. So there can also be things that are coming up here as well that could be very frustrating here as well. Either some arguments or passive aggressive type arguments here, and feel very difficult. That I think is going on here, difficult, and maybe even throw us back with the Libra into being indecisive here about what to do with these things that really I just said we need to end, and kind of waffling back and forth on those. Okay. Because that's going on at this eclipse, I think I'm now going to give you some advice here on how to handle that. I think that's all the main things I really wanted to talk about. And the main thing I think I really want to talk about in terms of advice is going to be back to this Mars here in Cancer. Because Mars is about to go retrograde in the few days after, not about to go retrograde, excuse me, Mars is about to enter pre-retrograde shadow in the few days after this eclipse. And what that means is that Mars is not retrograde yet, but it's now at the same degree, will be, it's got to get to 17 degrees at the same degree that it will come back retrograde, and it's going to start to slow down in speed here. And so this can also be a little bit of a weird thing that's going on, right? Contributing to some of those challenges I just talked about. Okay. But even though that can be going on. Sometimes when I see retrogrades here, I think of retrogrades. I think of the opposite point of the retrograding planet as being really the more helpful one at times here, and the one we need to cultivate more of. And the reason why I see the opposites of a retrograding planet, right? A retrograde planet pulls the opposite is because opposites bring things into balance, right? There's something special about opposites that kind of help work through things and balance each other out here that needs to be done. And with Mars eventually going to go retrograde in Cancer, it means something with the Cancer isn't entirely right that needs to be rebalanced or brought into a healthier way that the Capricorn can help us do. So I think there's some of the Capricorn that I'm going to give you as part of the advice. Not only am I going to give you the Capricorn as advice, because Mars is going to eventually go retrograde in Cancer, and Capricorn's the opposite sign, but also too because Pluto is about to leave Capricorn there permanently for the rest of our lives. I mean, it'll be back eventually, but we won't be alive then. Here, well, maybe some of us who are very young will be alive, but it's going to leave for a very long time, Capricorn, after it's been there for almost 15 years. I think it was like 2008, right around there. And when a planet officially leaves a sign after being there for a while, and it's not going to come back for a bit, I think it can also be a victory lap, bring something more helpful. We've learned a lesson. We're completing something here, a gift in order for us to move forward. So I think there's also some good things here that the Capricorn can really help us with in this situation. And not only that, another reason to convince you all, the first quarter moon is going to be in Capricorn too, about a week from now as well. Okay, after this eclipse. Okay, what is Capricorn about? Well, Capricorn is about boundaries in a lot of ways, firm boundaries with things. Here, it's also about structure in a lot of ways. Not only that, but maybe even sometimes I might consider, well, I don't know if this is the word I want to use, but certainty, sometimes Capricorn, or just committing to something and drawing a fine line in the sand here. So I think part of the advice that I want to give you when it comes to this energy is there's a need to stop waffling back and forth here and avoiding these things that need to be dealt with when it comes to letting go of relationships or changing those, letting go of the compromise, and letting go of the hesitating and the overthinking. Stop avoiding that. There's a need to face it head on and to put very strong boundaries and structures in place so that these things do not continue to be issues and drive you crazy and come back, which for some of you is ending relationships, right? Don't call me, don't contact me, let's not see each other, or is firm boundaries, let's still be in a relationship, but don't call me after 10 p.m. I'm busy, and I do this with my friends on this day and you're not going with me, right? It's like you got to put these firm boundaries in place, or firm boundaries in place when it comes to overthinking. When I overthink, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to go outside, take a walk. When I feel like I need to hesitate, I'm going to, right? It's firm boundaries and structures there that's going on, and committing. Capricorn is also a sign of committing to that here that's going on, and making your own certainty, right? Like everything's up in the air. You got to make your own certainty, and be strong in the things that are important to you and that you need. So I think that's a lot of the advice here. And I think now we're capable of putting in those boundaries and structures with Pluto about to leave in a healthier way, where we're not overly putting a boundary or overly being structured, but we're doing it, I think, in a much better way that it is that we need. So I think that that's the advice there, which again, with Mars hasn't even been retrograde yet, I think it's going to take us a few more months to fully do in the way that we need, right? And eclipses have effects for 6 months, maybe even longer as well, to fully do in the way that we need. Okay, not only is that part of the advice, but another piece of advice I might give you might be also with the North Node in Aries here as well, because that is being indicated by this eclipse, and Mars is there kind of squaring it as well, the nodal axis. And Aries is a lot about just trying things. It's a lot about doing things, even if it's messy, and doing things that are in our own self-interest, that are independent, that are fun for us here. That's going on. So not only is the advice here as well of like, you got to put stronger boundaries and structures in place so that you stop compromising too much in relationships and connecting with people who aren't good for you and overthinking and waiting for everything to be perfect and hesitating here, and make the commitments to that, and put your foot down and make your own certainty. Even if nothing's certain, you make your own certainty by deciding. But once that's done, there's also a need to just take action on other things that you want to do alone, or that you're interested in, or that you're passionate about, even if it's not perfect. Okay, that's going on, even if it doesn't feel super comfortable, because it eventually will. It eventually will. I think we're going to need all of that Mars retrograde, right, to feel comfortable here, which is going to be, going to finish sometime next year. But it's to just try and see what happens, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it's not perfect, when it comes to doing what you want to do, what you're passionate about here as well. Not only do I want to mention that, but I also want to note as well another alignment while I'm at it that is more positive too. And that's going to be here, Venus, around the time of this eclipse in Scorpio, making a trine to Saturn in Pisces, and eventually a trine over here to Mars in Cancer, which is going to be a grand water trine here in the days after this, around that first quarter moon in Capricorn. This to me, there is some challenging things about it. Venus is in Scorpio, a sign it doesn't like to be in. Mars is in Cancer, a sign it doesn't like to be in. Saturn's involved here, which can be hard, but I think on the whole is meant to be positive, because trines can be flowing aspects that can be helpful, especially when they're all connecting with each other. So I want to interpret this in more of a helpful, hopeful way here about what I think is coming, on the other side of some of this stuff here that's going on. Okay. What is that? Well, Scorpio is a lot about change, especially permanent change and transformation. It's connecting with Venus right there, relationships and money. Not only that, but Saturn's in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's also about endings, permanent endings, the final ending being the last sign of the zodiac. So, and Saturn can bring commitment to that, to really help us overcome these things, to let them go here that's going on. So I think that there's a chance for us to make more permanent changes with relationships and money, to end a lot of this stuff once and for all that's been holding us back. And to confront Mars in Cancer. Mars can be very confrontational, to confront the people and things, or even confront our own emotional resistances with the Cancer and the Scorpio in order to make some of this stuff happen here. So I think that that's the advice. And not only is that the advice, but I'm trying to say with this extra point that I think a lot of us are going to do it. A lot of us are going to get there, especially because eclipses can bring that significant shift. A lot of us are going to do it. A lot of us are going to make these big permanent commitments and changes here, to let go of relationships, overthinking, people pleasing here, come out on the other side, even if it's not comfortable in the process, because this can be a little bit difficult there. Not only that, but I also want to note as well that what Mars, when it goes direct, it's going to go direct, I think, February of next year, but is also going to bring us more of a solid ground, right? Cancer is about where we feel like we have a solid ground in life here as well. So not only do I think we are going to make these changes, but I think when the changes are done, which looks beginning of next year, February, March, or whatever, I think maybe even into April, we're going to be on much more solid ground as a result of it here, even if it just takes us some time to do it. Hey, and that's it, because that's it. That's all I'm going to say in terms of the aspects. I'm just going to repeat that one last time now without the jargon. So let me do that now. What I think is going on here at this new moon solar eclipse in Libra is that we're trying to do relationships and the way we compromise with them in a new way, and also how we think about things in a new way, and also our own rhythm and pace in life in a new way here. And we're trying to do those things in a new way where we stop associating with people who aren't working for us, stop people pleasing, stop compromising away our core values and interests here, stop hesitating and taking things slow, and in which we start asserting ourselves, advocating for ourselves, fighting for ourselves, and doing our own thing, and focusing on that, and taking action, following our instincts, doing things quicker here, and following more of our passions here that's going on. Not only are we trying to do that, but we also are getting very significant, I think, realizations and clarity about that, what that new way is, and about more specifically these old things that are keeping us stuck here, and how we can overcome that. Not only are we getting realizations about that, but we're also having conversations here with just random third-party people in our lives about what we're trying to get rid of and overcome, or the actual people in our lives who might be involved in these things that we want to end here that's going on. And these thoughts and conversations that we're having about this, I think, can be very triggering and frustrating to ourselves because we're tired of it. We're tired of falling back into these old things. We just want to move forward here. And because other people might not like these endings of relationships or might be very scared to end these relationships here and create some kind of arguments or disagreements here that can be a little hard and make us feel unsafe without a leg to stand on, like everything's kind of up in the air, and maybe make us want to waffle and hesitate a little bit here. But even though that's what's going on here, I'm going to give you some advice about how to handle that. And the advice about how to handle this energy here is to stop waffling, stop hesitating here, and to put strong structures and boundaries in your life and with your relationships to end these things, overthinking, the people pleasing, the too much compromising here that's going on, and to commit to that and to make your own certainty, to not wait till everything's certain for you to make a commitment that then makes things certain, right? Here, in order for you to move forward, not only is that part of the advice, but once you put these stronger boundaries in place to stop other people, right, and the overthinking and all of that, then to make commitments to just go for the things you actually want to do that are more independent, that are quicker, that are easier here, and to do that, even if it's not perfect, even if it still feels scary, even if it doesn't quite work out yet in the way that you might like, because if you can keep doing that here, then I think by the time Mars actually goes retrograde and finishes the beginning of next year sometime, we're going to be in a much better place that feels more solid, that feels more secure here, and more able to support a new and better experience of life, and is moving faster here in the ways that it is that we need that's going on. And I think a lot of you are naturally going to feel inspired to behave in this way, even if it is a little uncomfortable in the process. Okay, and that's it. Okay, because that's it, I'm now just going to say a few other things here about the energy and just conversational terms to maybe fill in any gaps here that's going on. Okay. What do I want to say? I think the first thing I'll do is give you some examples, even though I do think I kind of already did that a little bit here. But for some of you at the solar eclipse in Libra, there's a definite relationship vibe coming up. Some of you have been with relationships for a long time that you've constantly been trying to give the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe it'll work, maybe it'll change, maybe they'll get better, that you've constantly been trying to work at and fix. And what could happen at this solar eclipse in Libra is that you could realize it's just not working. You've been trying to make it work. You've been trying to be fair. You've been trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. You've been trying, it's just not, it's just not, it doesn't have to be anyone's fault. It's just not working. And you want to go in different directions and needing to put very strong boundaries and structures in place so that that relationship permanently ends and you don't keep getting back together, okay. So that could be an example of how this could go. Okay, if this isn't a permanent ending of a relationship, right? It doesn't have to be a permanent ending. This could also be a permanent change in a relationship as well. Here, that's going on where you and the person that you're in a relationship with change here to be more independent, right? You're still in a relationship, but like you give each other more free time and free space. You do your thing, they do theirs, whatever. Not a big deal. It could be a change like that here that's going on, and where they let you do more of your own thing. Now, that also looks like it might be a little hard at first to kind of get on the same page. There might be some disagreement there that could come, but it could also play out that way here as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. The other thing I want to note when it comes to the relationship in those two scenarios, right? It's up for you to decide which one it is, right? For some of you, you do need to end relationships, and those relationships you need to end are the ones that you've been trying to make it work and just aren't. And then there's some of you that can stay with your current partner and make it work here. And the ones who are going to be able to stay with their current partner and make it work are the ones where the partner is making changes, right? Where the both of you are making changes, even if they're triggering, even if they're hard. So that's another thought there. I don't know for sure whether this is a permanent ending of a relationship in your life or just a current relationship changing. That's up to you. And what's going to tell you whether or not this is a permanent ending or a change of a relationship is how willing both of you are to make that shift to independence and to action, and to get rid of the overthinking here that's going on, right? Because some of you have great partners that really do want to make it work. It just has taken a minute here. So keep that in mind. Another thing that I want to note as well is that this doesn't have to be a romantic partner or a spouse. I know we think about that a lot of times when we think about relationships. This could be a business partner, right, that you need to let go of, or that needs to very significantly change here and how you work with them, right? that's going on. So it can be some of that here. If it's not a business partner, it could be anyone else that you have some sort of contract or commitment with. Could be someone you hire, right? A lawyer, a real estate agent, right? Maybe they're just not working for you. Like you tried, and you just can't get on the same page here when it comes to what is needed. So it could also be some kind of ending there. Not only can that be going on, but in terms of relationships, I might even generalize this to just the other, the random other. There are sometimes situations in our lives where maybe there's not a specific person involved, or maybe all our relationships are fine here that's going on, right? Because this doesn't have to be a relationship situation here. This could just work to your idea of relationships, or like of how people are. Some of you, it could be fine in your physical relationships or whatever, or not have any relationships, but some of you could have this idea that like you have to be a certain way if you were to get into a relationship, or you have to be a certain way for people, for people online, for people in your audience, for people that you meet, for someone you might eventually date, right? It can also be this idea that you have to be that way, or this tendency, here to want to people please as well. So if it's not an actual person, because it does not have to be an actual person here, this could just be some sort of tendency here towards people pleasing, or feeling like you have to hide who you are for someone else that's just out there in your mind, right? That you also need to put more structures and boundaries to get rid of at this time, and to stop kind of waffling on that there as well. So keep those in mind, because I believe there were some of you a few weeks ago who's like, I don't really have any relationships in my life. Well, it's like, okay, maybe it's not about them. Maybe it's just the mindset about relationships here that's going on internally here that might also need to shift. Okay, so could be that. What else could this be? Okay, yeah. Okay, another thought here is that how else could this play out, right? This could also play out in terms of the overthinking here. So what could be going on at this eclipse is that you could realize just how much like you keep getting stuck in overthinking and hesitating and holding back here and all of that. And it could also be you putting more strong boundaries here so that you don't keep doing that and can move forward. Right. And that can apply to a few different things. So maybe we could do this in terms of, maybe I'll give you more specifics. Maybe some of you are trying to buy a home here as well. So maybe some of you could be overthinking, right? Overthinking the home, where you want to live, if you want to move, what it's going to look like. So what could happen at this eclipse is that you could start to realize, like, I just need to go for it here. That's going on. And if you already found a place, to just go for that one. Or if you haven't found a place, to just dive in and look, look in every day and seeing what's going on here. I probably wouldn't recommend signing a contract on a place until after Mars goes direct next year sometime, March, April, all of that. But you might need to dive in and look, because how do you know what you want unless you're looking at places and figuring things out, So it could also be some of that here as well. And not only that, maybe this is a health thing. Maybe some of you felt like your health is off and you've been doing a lot of thinking about your health. So another thing that could happen at this, eclipse in Libra is that you can realize, like, I need to stop thinking about my health and researching and just do a solution. Just do a solution here that's going on, because all this researching, isn't giving me more answers, or if not do a solution, it could be trusting the wisdom of your own body with the Aries. Some of you need to make a firm decision here to just follow your body's natural wisdom about what it needs here in order to heal that as well. So could also be a situation here around that. Okay, maybe this is a career thing that's going on. Some of you are trying to get a new career or launch a new project or something like that. So this could also, what could also happen at this eclipse is that you can realize that you're hesitating too much when it comes to getting a job or a career, or maybe you're paying too much attention to what other people want you to do, right? Like that's the thing, you're paying too much attention to like what other people think you should do for your career and for your work. And this could be you realizing here that you just need to, dive into a new job, dive into a new project here that you want to do, or maybe do something independently, right? With the Aries, work on a project independently, or work on your own side project, here. That's going on, and to put more boundaries around that so that you can start to make some of that happen here. So it could be something along those lines. Okay, those are some examples. There's obviously more ways this could play out, but those are some examples there. Hey, what else do I want to say? Another thing that I want to say is to compare it to my last horoscope. If you watched that, the lunar eclipse in Pisces 2 weeks ago, I did say in that video that things were getting faster, right? The dam was going to break. I think that was the phrase I used here for things to get faster. And then all of a sudden we get this lunar eclipse where it's like, oh, well, we're kind of stuck here now. And so I just want to reconcile the two horoscopes here that's going on, so that some of you don't feel confused. And I think what I want to say here is that they are, the speed, things getting faster is a crescendo, right? To use a term from music, why not? With the Libra here, it's a crescendo. It doesn't just you don't just all of a sudden go from 0 to 100. There's some time to really get up there, here that's going on. And so I want to consider this now in the Mars retrograde, that time where we're trying to get the speed up there. Here that's going on. So keep that in mind. Things are that this is going to happen, I think, next year. There's a lot of things I like about next year being a little smoother here and all of that. But it's just going to take some time for us to kind of get there, because we got to work some more things out, right? We have to really work some of the kinks out. And that's why it's going to take us, this Mars retrograde another few months, is because we still have to work out some of the kinks, and that's putting in the boundaries and structures to support a better speed, right? Because you can't run fast if there's no solid ground, right? You can't run on quicksand. You need some boundaries and structures there. So it's the boundaries and structures that are going to support that. And then it's working out the kinks around the action, right? A big part of this horoscope, well, the advice was like, you just got to do things even if it's imperfect, even if it doesn't work, right? And that's the whole thing, right? When you do something you haven't done before, you're going to make mistakes. You got to do it more, and then you get better at it. And so I think part of the reason why why we're getting up to speed to make life go faster than I think it has been the past few years, but there's still this slowness for the next few months while Mars is retrograde, is because we're putting in the boundaries and structures that are going to facilitate that speed that's going to take some time, right? Because we can't go from 0 to 100 all at once. And also too, because we need some time to fail and make mistakes and learn from experience and figure out here what exactly is going to bring us the swiftness, what exactly is going to bring us the fastness. And sometimes when we waken from slumber and when we awake from not doing much to all of a sudden doing things that's clumsy, right? Like that's the thought here. I don't know if I'm saying it clear enough, but that's also the thought. Let me repeat that. It takes time to go from 0 to 100. Right? And now we're putting in the structures and the boundaries in place that are needed in order to support that faster speed. And not only does it take time to go from 0 to 100, but when you've been waiting and hesitating and not doing something for a very long time, and then all of a sudden start to do something, it's clumsy, it's messy. You have these fits and starts, about, I don't know, that also takes some time to wear off. And the way to wear off the clumsiness, right, is to not wait and hesitate, but to do more until it comes together, better there. So I think that's what I want to say. And another thought that I want to note too here while I'm at it is that there is a thought about, the compromise. Let me go there for a minute. I think that this is my opinion. I don't claim to be the only person that's right. I'm just sharing my opinion here. I think there's a need to stop compromising here especially with people that are not doing their fair share and all of that. And that always angers people whenever I say that in whatever video of well, how are we supposed to get along with anyone if we're not compromising here? And so I think there's a few other thoughts I want to say about that. The point of this energy, and I have said this a few times throughout the year here, when it comes to relationships here, is that by you not compromising with people who are not going to compromise for you and are not meant for you, you find someone who's on the right page. the same page as you. So I think there's another thought there too. The right person for you, compromise won't feel like compromise. Do you see? The right person for you, compromise won't feel like compromise because you're going to want the same things or very similar things. Do you get it? If you're in a relationship with someone and that relationship is working, it's not like, oh, we have to compromise. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's like, no, we're good. We don't have to compromise. They want what I want. They want what I want. We want to do things similar. Like, we're going to let, so I think that that's the thought here. This isn't an argument against like being nice to people or things like that. It's just, you got to find different people or people that are more on your wavelength that you don't feel like you're constantly sacrificing yourself on here. And this is actually facilitating better relationships instead of worse ones. Another thought here on the compromise too is if you don't believe me, then sometimes you can just look at it on a global scale. Not that the world is always right here, but I don't, with the South Node in Libra here and the eclipse there, I don't get a sense that there's going to be a lot of compromise going on in terms of global political conflicts. If you know what I mean here, I would not see some kind of ceasefire happening. I could be wrong. I think that, global events are a different beast than the personal. And I think that the personal happens before the collective here, but take a look at what's gone on the past few weeks. I don't feel like now is the time for compromise in the energy. It's more about doing with the Aries what you want to do and standing up for that here that's going on and not letting people talk you out of it. So, if you don't take my word for it, then, consider other things going on. Now's not really the time for compromise. Okay. Here, anything else that I want to say? Okay. All right, I think that's it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the inside degrees and then take a look at your card. So let's do that. The inside degrees were not written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings of each of the degrees from Spirit. I just find his work really interesting and insightful. So we're going to do that. Here, the eclipse is at 10 degrees Libra. I believe that the ones before, of, and after can all be relevant because the planets are in motion. Here, I've gotten them all up on the screen, but I'm not going to read 9 just because it didn't really speak to me. Doesn't mean it's not accurate. Doesn't mean it won't speak to you. But I feel more 10 and 11. So we're going to look at that. 10 degrees Libra, which is the degree of the eclipse, says this: personality cultivated as charm, the style and stance of one who puts out an image and curls the soul under, taking advantage of favorable currents to express popular and safe qualities. Okay. This to me is something that I think a lot of us are doing that we need to let go of, right? And this underpins the compromise. The compromise here and the people pleasing is that I think what's happening is that a lot of people here are ignoring their true needs here just so that they can be popular or get the approval of others, or feel just safer around people, even though the people don't really resonate with them, and I think this is a lot of what's going on. That is what also needs to end, as well, right? Or gives more confirmation to that we need to stop pretending to be someone else that we're not, just to be liked, just to not be alone, just to make things work because we want to be nice. There's a need to stop doing that here. Not only that, but that also reminds me of something too about the image, right? There's a word, puts out an image. And I think sometimes Libra can be about that, about appearances. How does it look? Does it look good? So I think there's also a need not only to stop hiding who you are and pretending to be someone you're not, just to be liked, just to not be alone. But I think there's a need also to stop focusing on appearances and to really look under the hood of like what's actually going on and what you actually need, and all of that, to see things more clearly. Okay, let's read on. It says, trying your utmost to feel good within the commonly agreed upon atmosphere and allowances, holding yourself back into what is instantly acceptable, familiar, and comfortable. Okay, this is another thing that we're doing, not only hiding ourselves to be popular or to be safe so we don't have to be alone here, or don't have to experience the wrath of other people. But I think a lot of us too are trying to be what's acceptable, what we feel is acceptable to the public, or all of that. And I think there's a need to not do that, to just be who you are, and do what, is true for you. Okay, it says lost in the swirling, partners in the dance, borrowed masks take over, buying time by appeasing the crowd. You dream idly of something better than this, but are drawn to make the way things are wonderful and ideal in a static perfection, which is a tight fit and gives you an overlay of social programming. This colors everything and characterizes you as the fulfiller of the occasion and nothing more. So not only do I think that this inside degree is saying that at this eclipse, we need to stop, because the South Node is around here. We need to stop pretending to be something that we're not and putting on appearances just to be liked or to feel safer and all of that, and or be acceptable here. That's going on, but we need to stop. We need to take off the masks and stop appeasing people and be who we are and get rid of the social programming, and be your true self. Okay. Then I'm going to look at Libra 11. It says destiny openings, carte blanche to enter upon fresh directions, a child of destiny offered by spirit, protection and guidance, encouragement and empowerment. You are the exception to the rule, the special exemption for future purposes, extracted from the old regular patterns and given the chance to follow the inward instincts and sensibility completely. So this to me is more so the latent expression of the new moon. I think we're going to feel 10 the most. At least that's what I believe here. To me, this Libra 11 is around, but is going to come later, maybe at the end of the eclipses have effects for 6 months after the Mars retrograde, sometime the beginning of next year. I think this is what's going to happen. We're going to feel, once we've kicked the people pleasing, the being something we're not, all of that, and put the boundaries in place, we're going to feel like our destiny is opening before us. There's a carte blanche, a blank page here to be whoever we want, write whatever story we want to write here. And we're going to feel, special, or like there's a special force like that's going to be driving us and helping us out here. That's going on. And able to break free from old patterns and follow our inward instincts. It says a distinctive quality of being marked out for destiny acceleration between what is reasonable or set up. The start of something big. Granted permission to make mistakes, which we also talked about. Make a fool of yourself and still come up as the one everybody knows can and will do astounding things, just because down the road someone is calling you onward who cannot be refused. So stop the people pleasing. Stop pretending to be someone you're not. Stop putting on airs, trying to look good, to be socially acceptable. It's time to look under the hood, to be who you truly are here, and to allow that to shine, whether people like it or not, because that's going to help you in a few months have a blank slate for your life from which to move freely and do things you want to do, and to feel really guided by spirit here, and to finally start. I think that what we've been trying to do since 2020, to finally start that in a much better, more solid, more grounded way. And you need to not be afraid to make mistakes as you do it, because you're going to come out okay. You're going to make mistakes and still come out on top. Do you see that? Granted permission to make mistakes and still come up as the one everybody knows can and will do astounding things, which I think is part of the Mars retrograde with the North Node in Aries, right? It's not doing anything. It's about making mistakes and being okay with that. Okay. So I think that's what I'm going to say there, because that's it. I'm now going to go ahead and look at your card. We've got the 8 of Swords reversed, and at the bottom of the deck, we've got Strength upright. The 8 of Swords to me is a lot about not seeing clearly, right? There's a blindfold here, not seeing clearly, or just not feeling like you have the answers to a lot of things, or you have certainty, right? And I did mention that earlier in this video, but maybe I need to focus a little bit more on that. Some of you may be looking for, at this solar eclipse in Libra, absolute certainty. If I'm going to end a relationship, I want to be absolute certain that I want to end it. I want to be absolute certain that it's over. Or if I'm going to do this project, right, and stop hesitating, I want to be absolutely certain that I'm going to do this project, and that this project is right for me, and that this project is going to work out. And I think that the feeling that I'm getting is that don't do that. Don't wait to be absolute certain. You have to act before you're certain, because it's the action that's going to bring the certainty, right? You make, right? You have to decide before you're certain about it, because the decision's going to bring the certainty, right? I think that that's the thought here. You don't be certain and then decide. You decide, and then the certainty is going to come after it, and it's going to come after it because you made the choice, right? You took the stand here for what's going on. So I think that's my thought here, is like, stop waiting for that full certainty that you need to end the relationship, or you need to stop doing this thing, and make the decision, because that's what's going to bring it together. Okay, we've got strength at the bottom of the deck. It's a lion here. Lion's about courage. It's also about trusting your inner instincts. You're trusting your instincts about what's going on. So not only, right, and the swords are about your mind, and we've got the lion here about the instinct. So not only here is the thought of like, you're not going to get complete certainty about what project to do and how to end the relationship, or what really, you're not going to get complete certainty. You have to decide, and then the certainty will come after. And when it comes to deciding, you have to trust your gut and your instinct, and that deep feeling in your body, and not your mind, because that's what's going to help you. And you have to hone and tune more into that here in order to really bring you through, because that's what's going to get you out of this mess and bring you some of the insights that it is that you need. Okay. I also like too, in this card, there's like a unicorn watching over the lion. The lion to me is a symbol of courage and strength. And the unicorn has like this spiritual infinity symbol over its head. So I think too that there's to me a message of like divine protection here. And you did see the inside degrees. There was something about it, especially a Libra 11, about being, granted permission to make mistakes, or, marked for a special purpose. So I think the other thought that I want to say here too is that you're going to be protected, right? If you don't wait for certainty and just make some random decision that you feel in your gut is true, even if it doesn't make logical sense, you're going to be protected here. It's going to work. Spirit's watching over you. It's going to work out better than you think. Maybe you don't see it right now. Maybe you won't see it right now. Maybe you won't see it until a few months from now, but it's going to work out better than you think. It's going to get you to a better place. You're going to like fail upwards. It's going to get you to a much better spot, and it's going to work out in some positive way here that it is that you need. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to say here. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry these videos have gotten longer, but thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, share it with my friends, or check out the audio version on Apple Podcasts, the Ethereal Astrology Podcast. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you on the next video 2 weeks from now.